Hi, Alex. It's very nice to meet you, and thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you very much for having me on the show.
You're welcome, and I appreciate you coming on. Alex, before we dive in, can you tell me a bit about yourself and how you discovered carnivore? How did it all started for you?
Mm, yeah. So back when I was 18, 17, maybe, I was very insecure in my body. I had a typical skinny fat physique where I lacked muscle in my shoulders, my arms, my legs, and I had a bit of podge around my waist. So I found the gym. I did what everyone tells you to do: lift weights, take the supplements, eat according to the guidelines, lots of plants, lots of veg, lower fat, high protein. And I did that for 2 to 3 years. I got some results for sure. Definitely felt a lot more confident, built muscle, built a broader frame. But every time I tried to diet down and get a leaner physique, and we're not talking crazy lean, we're talking 13, 14% body fat, like a good, healthy, lean body, my energy would tank and my focus would go and my libido and nothing really functioned well within that healthy body fat percentage range. And I later realized that my diet wasn't great and I was essentially reducing the calories of an already not so good diet. So probably in 2014, saw some carnivore YouTubers online talking about the diet, and it all sounded very logical to me. Using our senses to make food decisions, eating nutrient-dense foods, looking back at anthropology and what we've evolved eating and what was available, it added up. So I gave it a go, increased the percentage of meat in my diet, lots of fat, went against all the mainstream stuff that I'd followed. And what happened was pretty remarkable. I lost all the unwanted body fat without any effort at all. And it wasn't just a matter of, okay, losing the fat without losing energy, without losing focus. No, my focus went up in the day. My productivity went up, more energized than ever before. My skin cleared up. My strength in the gym was great because of all the protein. So I was able to get to the healthy body fat percent range whilst improving my function and just feeling healthier than I'd ever felt.
That's pretty cool. Wow, 2014, and that's when you pretty much jump onto carnivore after seeing someone on online. Were you pretty much on any other specific diet besides carnivore at that time?
Yeah, so up until 2024, it was just generic stuff, right? I was conscious of my protein and stuff like that. I was eating a lot of grains, a lot of vegetables, chicken, rice, vegetable type deal. That was the diet I was on, the typical gym bro diet.
Wow. Um, did you had like any specific maybe health issue that you wanted to address? That's why you switched to carnivore because you're in the gym bro diet, right? Or maybe like I think you mentioned like something maybe something is lacking, but your body's looking lean, but yeah, something is lacking.
That's spot on. There wasn't a specific condition. Thankfully, I've always been fairly health conscious. My mum would cook for us as a kid. I became a personal trainer from quite young, so I was always conscious of it. But it was how I felt. I had an awesome, lean-looking physique, but my energy was rubbish, and my focus was rubbish, and my business wasn't growing, and I had no strength in the gym. I looked healthy, but I felt horrible. My physique didn't reflect how I truly felt. And I thought, wow, is this the price of looking good? All the brain fog and all the energy crashes at 2 p.m.? No, I was just going way against my biology. I wasn't eating a nutrient dense diet. I wasn't eating enough fat. I was probably putting too many plant toxins in from all the vegetables I was eating. So I had to white knuckle my way to get lean, but it wasn't even worth it because of how horrible I felt.
Wow. Yeah, I feel like I had a similar issue. I just want to bring up. I think probably back in 2014 or also 2015. I think it's similar to when I went to my paleo diet, and I came out like pretty good looking. I had abs. I was pretty lean also, but I didn't have enough endurance. Like strength was short lived, and I played tennis, but my leg would cramps like probably just like one or two sets, and then that's it. But like you, pretty much questioning the health guidelines. I'm following it, but what's going on? Yeah.
If it's
So
if it's so true and it's the right thing to be healthy, why does it fail disciplined people like me and you? That was the big
right,
question
right. So
for
I
me.
find that, yeah. Yeah, I find that really amazing. And then once you switch to the carnivore approach, and you're pretty much this is the answer. Like this is what pretty much covers the lack of energy, lack of strength. I think that's really cool. So when you went straight to carnivore, everything made sense to you, right? Did you go straight, or did you gradually remove specific items at first?
Mm. So I want to first address the everything made sense part of what you said. A lot of who I listened to initially when I was getting into this type of eating, it was info around listening to your senses. What do you like to eat? What does your body guide you on what you should and shouldn't eat? So with that in mind, I slowly started reducing stuff my body didn't like. For example, vegetables. I gradually took them out, and I gradually increased the consumption of meat because that was actually my favorite thing to eat. So it was a pretty gradual thing. I think it is gradual for most people unless they have a drastic condition that they want to reverse ASAP, because you're a little bit skeptical about the whole idea of cutting out entire food groups. We've always been told that we need variety. So you're slightly cautious. You're like, is this actually safe? Should I trust the people that tell me to do this? But it's like, no, no, no. Your intuition is on your side. Your senses are on your side. The mainstream guidelines are set out by businesses who want profit. They don't have, your best interests at heart. So I rolled with it, and it almost feels too good to be true, Joseph. It's too easy. The fat just came off. Energy was great. You're not grazing all day. You just need 1 or 2 meals and you're full. Meals are very simple, and you almost feel like you're cheating, because think about it, like a cheat meal back when you're doing the gym bro diet is something juicy and something very fatty, and we're told fat's very bad for us. But to be able to eat high fat every meal and feel so satisfied and not have cravings all day, it's incredible. So for me, it was a gradual thing purely because it was a cautionary approach. I wasn't 100% bought into the idea, but I'm glad it was gradual, because I'm aware that, if your body runs off a certain fuel and your cells live off a certain fuel for 20, 30 years and you immediately change, you're going to have some problems. I've spoken to people who had seriously bad digestive problems, but apparently they surpass after a couple of weeks. So it's not a huge deal. But for me, it was a gradual approach, gradual change.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I mean, I know you brought up the coaching business, and you've spoken to so many people about this diet approach. Can you maybe talk more about the coaching health coaching business? Are most of your clients following the keto or the carnivore, maybe a variation? And let's say when someone comes to you, do you guide them, toward these approaches, or do you meet them where they're at first and then like probably build from there? Or do you, another question, another loaded question, right? Do you tend to
Yeah,
work with older or mixed younger older clients?
yeah, yeah. So clientele is generally business owners, entrepreneurs, executives, that kind of thing. So mostly they're in their 30s, 40s, sometimes 50s. They come to me essentially every time. I've tried getting lean before, and every time I lose my energy, I lose my output. I can't focus on my business. I'm thinking about food all day. This is so difficult. I don't even want to bother. But then at the same time, they've got this belly and they're frustrated with it, and it's affecting their confidence in their life. So what I'm able to come in and do is marry the two together. It's like, well, hey, we can get you that body, and you don't have to sacrifice your energy. You just need to make sure you're fueling correctly. All of your previous attempts at dieting, you've restricted a bunch of essential nutrients, and that's why your brain's always sending signals for food, because it wants you to put the right nutrients in. So we're able to fix that problem pretty quickly, not from strict carnivore, purely because it's unrealistic to get someone to completely jump ship from a generic diet to a more carnivore approach. But honestly, Joseph, just from increasing the proportion of meat in their diet, massive. Immediately they're filling up. They're like, Alex, I've got no desire for cravings, for snacks. I haven't snacked in 4 weeks and it's been so easy. What's going on? And they'd never realized that the only reason why the cravings came in and they had this desire to snack is their body was asking for certain nutrients. And because they didn't have the right knowledge of what foods they should be putting in, they're just staying in that cycle. So people really come to me because entrepreneurship, business, that's their sport. If they were bodybuilders, maybe they'd sacrifice feeling good and just white knuckle it and look as good as possible. But every time they try and get the belly off and get the body they want, what they care about most, their focus, their energy, their output, gets sacrificed. So that's the primary thing that this approach solves for them. And like I said, it's not straight carnivore, but it's increasing the percentage of meat, reducing the grains. That's the typical start. I've got this system that I created, a very common breakfast a prospective client would have is two eggs and 2 slices of toast. You know, they're telling me, Alex, like, I'm trying to get my protein up. I heard eggs are healthy. Like, you know, I'm doing it right. Yeah, you know, but they're still getting hungry, right? So they're not doing it well enough. So what I say to them is, I got this thing called protein doubling, where you double the protein and halve the rest. And I say, when you have protein, make sure it's fatty. So it's eggs, full fat yogurt, full fat meat, salmon, you know what I mean? So what they get from that is twice the eggs, so 4 eggs and 1 slice of toast. And that change alone gives them the fullness they need without drastically changing what they do. Because people don't like to be told they're wrong. They don't like to fall out of routine. This still allows them to eat, you know, a slice of sourdough, whatever it is, but drastically improve the nutrient profile of their meal without adding any extra time, without changing what they're eating. It's just the percentages, changing the variables, the proportions. And that's how we do it. It's so seamless. And within a couple of weeks, every client is fully on board because they feel the benefits right away. The brain fog goes, the energy's up, they start sleeping better. They lose a bit of puffiness on their face from the water retention from the carbohydrates, and they're very encouraged pretty quickly. You just got to get them over the line at the start. That's the only tricky part.
Wow, I really like how you approach your clients, like right from the beginning. You know, kind of triggered for me is that you know, I like that you mentioned that people doesn't like to be told that they're wrong. So, and you have a specific approach to them. So, I mean, in a way, you are meeting them where they're at. So I think that's the best approach for now, just to get them started. Alex, before going carnivore, what was your favorite food?
Steak.
So this is pretty easy for you then, switching to carnivore.
The easiest thing on the planet. This is what I'm saying. It feels like a cheat code. Probably the majority of humans, junk food aside, would say their favorite food is steak or something similar to it. I've got this client. He's like, this feels like an actual cheat code. I'm just eating my favorite food every meal. I didn't know I could do this. Previously, it's been brutal. I've been hungry. I've been locking in discipline, but this just, I'm losing weight, and I'm only eating the food I like. And I say, like, this is how it should be. Which animal doesn't eat the food it wants? And also, where did variety exist in nature? Aeroplanes were invented in the 1800s. We've existed for 300,000 years. Where were you getting your avocados from Mexico? How are you doing that? How are you getting your fruit from the tropics? How are you getting your coffee from Colombia? And it all starts to make sense when you look at the facts, when you look at it pragmatically. And of course, your body's going to respond positively because it's desired fuel, because it's the fuel that built the body. You know, you don't change your unleaded fuel in your car to diesel after 40 years of driving it unleaded. You don't immediately change the fuel source. That's going to be problematic. So people are realizing and they're feeling the benefits of fueling themselves properly. And that's what matters most. They feel in control. The hunger, the food noise calms down. And I'm yet to find someone as well who isn't nicer and more pleasant to be around. So there's that added benefit as well.
Yeah, that's a great benefit. I often hear from many carnivores. They talk about their motivation, in life before and after. And they say that, the difference is so huge, like, because now they're feeling great. Their health markers are like just, a big difference. What is your motivation now, like after carnivore? Is it like helping people, bring awareness, just sharing your story to, pretty much help people see there's an answer? Yeah, what is your motivation?
Yeah, I've seen enough people struggle and suffer. I've had clients, family members who have worked with me who were in and out of dieting cycles for 25, 30 years. And it's ending that pain, that suffering. Every attempt at losing the fat, failure chips away at their confidence. They've failed 15, 20, 30 times on their diet. Quite literally at rock bottom at that point. And to be able to help them and give them the realization of use your senses, you don't need to track anything, you just eat the right foods and you stop eating when you're full, and your body's always known what the right foods are. They're your favorite whole foods because your senses can taste the nutrients inside those foods. They're just like, wow. I had one client who wished he worked with me 30 years ago. He's 53 years old now, and he feels a new lease of life. He feels free. Like his energy is like never before. His positivity is like never before. He was quite literally at rock bottom. I'm sure he won't mind me sharing this, but back in November, he had a knife in his hand and he actually hospitalized himself. And he was your classic dieter, trying and failing to lose weight, well over 100 kilos. And it had been going on for so long. Now, dieting is not the only thing that was going on in his life, but hey, that's the fuel you run off. That's the source of your decisions, your motivation, your actions. What you eat is what you become. Your cells are repairing on a daily basis. Are they repairing with garbage grains or are they repairing with cholesterol? Makes a big difference. So the motivation is A, getting people out of their stuck cycle, and B, giving them a new lease of life. It's quite amazing how they feel 6 months in, completely different person. And for me personally, I enjoy business. I want to grow my business. I do want to be wealthy. I'm not afraid to share that. And this diet is incredible for that. Stable energy in the day, full, not having to eat all the time, Simple meals takes 5 minutes. I've never looked so good. So there's also personal motivation and alignment with my objectives. And that's one thing that motivated me to work with entrepreneurs. Because I know I can't just change their life from a confidence and health standpoint, but also if they have a great business that helps people as well, their output's going to explode. And there's going to be a crazy rippling butterfly effect of millions of lives affected from someone I've helped in front of me, which really motivates me. You know, these people can freaking heal their bloodlines and they can instill healthy habits onto their children. And with enough time, enough of us can come up against whatever the hell it is we're dealing with in terms of mainstream advice. And maybe we can just be humans again and not be zoo animals in man-made boxes, suffering, worried, scared, anxious, hungry, angry. So there's that as well.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with everything you said. And that story about one of your client who was hospitalized, and now I'm sure he's doing well now. Wow, that's really amazing. And how long have you worked with him before?
Oh, yeah. We started January the 5th, and in 12 weeks, he lost 15 kilos without the gym, because he wasn't actually allowed to go in the gym because he was hospitalized. He had like a heart condition. So he couldn't, raise his heart rate too much. So this is no gym stuff. This is literally diet. 15 kilos gone in 12 weeks. Only eating food he likes. He says to me he's finally enjoying his meals and he's losing weight. And he says people around him say he's a completely different person. His mood has gone up. They're asking him what he's doing to lose the weight. They say he has more of a glow about him. And I can see that as well. We had a recent call where I interviewed him, asked him, what kind of changes he's experienced in 12 weeks. And he's just completely different to the first guy I spoke to. That was a very dark, sad conversation. I'm super thankful he decided to take the plunge. Full respect to him for doing that. And just 12 weeks of implementation of the appropriate human diet. All of these negative emotions that I spoke about, the anger, the confusion, the worry, the guilt, the anxiety, food has a massive impact on those as well. It truly heals you when you start taking the junk out, the toxins, and give your body bare, basic, ancestral fuel. So that was a really special transformation, special moment talking to him. And he's still working with me now. We're doing 6 months together. So I'll probably post another update in 3 months' time. I think he's got a whole life to live ahead of him, really.
Yeah, that's really amazing. I feel like just listening to you with the story in your coaching business, I feel like you're gonna thrive so much with the way you approach, your clients. I think it's really amazing. Alex, looking back at the start of your carnivore journey, did you ever had mistakes? Starting it. Me, I had problems with the seed oils because I didn't know how to remove it in the beginning. Did you ever had like mistakes in the beginning?
I'm curious about the seed oils. How do you mean you didn't know how to remove it?
I mean, maybe the way I phrased it was wrong. So pretty much I was eating the meat cooked in seed oils. So I just didn't know that seed oil was pretty much, still vegetables. So, yeah.
I'm curious as well, off the back of that, when you took out the seed oils, did you feel any notable difference early on?
Everything improved pretty much. But I think later, maybe like after 2 to 3 months, because I had health issues such as skin issues like psoriasis, eczema. They didn't improve completely. So I would say after consuming meat with seed oils, I would say about 50 to 60% disappeared. So I removed the seed oils because, after learning that this is vegetables, I just didn't care about those informations before. So I'm now to like 90, 95%. And the only place in my body where I had the skin issues is my scalp. So I had some here, but it's becoming more or less after that.
Congrats, man. That's awesome. Yeah,
Thank you. Yeah. So, did you have any mistakes on your end?
I did. Yeah. And I think this is a common approach, a common mistake people make. Too high protein, too low fat. So I can tell you specifically what I was eating. So I was consciously eating fattier proteins, but I probably wasn't eating enough actual fat with that to supplement. For example, now I eat a bunch of butter, a bunch of raw butter. That's my condiment of choice. And I have a load of it with every meal. And I feel a lot better off that. But having the protein too high and the fat off, I was probably eating more grams of protein than grams of fat. Whereas now I probably eat 1.5 grams of fat per 1 gram of protein. But I had some digestion problems. I had some constipation as a result of that. And I later learned that fat is what helps push it along. It's what, lubricates your stools, and it allows you to, pass through relatively unfazed. So I did have some pain actually digesting and constipation. But once I increased the fat and reduced the protein a little bit, boom, completely gone. That was the fix.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I like how you fixed it. Yeah. So, what does a typical day or week of eating for you look like now? Do you keep it consistent? I guess maybe you can walk me through weekly or even monthly. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Monthly would be no different to daily. I eat the same thing every day. So first meal is going to be around midday or just when I'm hungry. Simple, right? And then I eat what I'm craving. I always have some fatty steak in the fridge. I've always got eggs there. Sometimes I'll have a different type of meat in the fridge as well, like pork, something like that. But it's mostly beef, fatty beef. So I'll cook that up, maybe have a couple of eggs with it for my first meal. And then my second meal was going to be that meal again, but duplicated probably by 2. So I'll double up on the steaks with that meal. Again, probably have some more eggs, a load of raw butter with it. And then outside of that, I'll eat some fruits. I haven't taken fruit out. I like fruit. I feel better off fruit. I mean, I live by the equator, so it's super useful for keeping hydrated. Super, super useful for that. So that's it. I'd say 90% of my calories come from protein and fat, maybe 95% to be fair. And then fruits and starches are super minimal, like super, super rare. I'll have starch. Christmas dinner, I'll have some roast potatoes with goose fat, because why not? But generally outside of that, don't crave starches. Just, I have a bit of dairy as well also. But yeah, generally that's butter. Class that as dairy, potentially it's pure fat. So yeah.
Yeah, I think you mentioned earlier about the you're consuming raw butter. I think that's a good thing. I'm
Yeah.
actually gonna try to switch with that because I'm mixing a lot of ghee and tallow and then butter. So I'm thinking of switching this time with the raw butter. Maybe that will finish the last 5-10% of skin issue I have. Alex, so have you done something unconventional within the carnivore framework? I know I've heard a couple of carnivore who hasn't brushed their teeth or hasn't taken shower for a very, very long time. Some maybe like once a week. Have you ever done something unconventional within the carnivore framework?
Yeah. I want to first preface by saying I don't think any of this stuff is unconventional. I actually look to the carnivore community to make decisions about generally removing toxins from not just my food, but other parts of life. Because that's what the carnivore diet is, right? It's reducing toxins. That's really what we're doing here. So yes. So soap to wash with, I either use like a tallow-based soap or in Colombia, we couldn't get one. We've got this one that's like, it's only clean ingredients. It's got like orange and it's got like beeswax and a couple of other things. I don't really know, to be honest, but I do that. I wash my hair in egg yolks. I haven't used shampoo in like 3 months. So I'll just pop an egg yolk in, cold water. And honestly, my hair has never looked or felt so good. Like, that was a freaking game changer. And then brushing teeth, I use coconut oil for that. I haven't used toothpaste in probably 2.5 months. And I smell really good. And my girlfriend as well eats the same way. I just love how she smells. I could probably go a good amount of time without showering, but I just like showering. It's a nice experience generally, standing in the hot water, it's relaxing, wakes you up. So even if there was a hidden benefit to not doing that, which I can't really see being the case, like every animal washes, I think it depends on the choice of soap you use. And also to wash my clothes, I use vinegar. I took that off Paul Saladino. And it works really well. My fear was that my clothes would stink of vinegar, but it's not the case at all. It just washes them normally. They smell pretty neutral. So slowly cleansing everything else as well. I've been buying cotton-only clothes, cotton and linen-only clothes. They cost a fair bit more, but why not? Let's do it properly. That's about it so far. I've only had positive results of these things. And something I noticed is when you do this, when you clean everything up, artificial stuff is unbearable. Perfume. The smell of perfume makes me sick. When you're walking through the airport, through duty free, and you've got all these perfumes and aftershaves, disgusting. Toothpaste, my girlfriend still uses toothpaste. She hasn't quite made that jump yet. And then let's say I kiss her after she's brushed her teeth. I taste the synthetic toothpaste in it. And again, it's pretty disgusting. And you realize how many things are unnecessary, even cooking, right? I just cooked my steak and I seasoned it with salt. All the garlic and onions and seasonings I used to cook with, they just, even then they smell disgusting, they taste disgusting. You reduce all the rubbish and you realize how much is unnecessary. How many products we consume and pay for that are completely pointless. Skincare stuff, I've done all that. My girlfriend got me to skincare like 2 years ago. No, the best skincare is no toxins in your diet. That's it. You don't need the product. Sun cream, again, I don't use sun cream at all. I don't really burn. I just, everything's better and easier and more simple now.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. I think the egg yolk, I think that's pretty new to me. So I might experiment on that and see how it goes. Because I use a soap also. I forgot what do I use? Something with honey. I think it's still kind of questionable within the carnivore community. Some use it, some don't. So with the whole honey issue. But yeah, that's pretty new to me.
Just on that, it depends how far you want to take it, right? You haven't got to, go full-blown toxin-free. I mean, for you, did you say you still had some psoriasis on your scalp, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the egg yolk thing would be perfect for you then. It's completely clean, pure, nutritious food. I'd give that a go.
I think that's what I think that's what's the interesting part for me after hearing that. It's like, oh, okay, use it as a shampoo. Maybe that's it. It just triggered a moment of discovery for me.
Yeah. You don't want to use the white at all. You just want to use the yolk itself, pasture raised, best quality egg you can get. And I use a whole egg, but I've got a good head of hair. For you, I would use a quarter. You really don't want to put that much. And you just sort of rub it in, massage it gently. yeah, I'd be curious to learn how you get on with that. My hair definitely feels healthier by doing this, so I would only hope the same can happen for you as well.
Yeah, hoping to get a good result after trying it. I'm gonna try it for a couple of days. Alex, what is the hardest thing about being carnivore for you? Examples for me have been the social gatherings with family and friends, right? And holidays, travel, and cravings in the beginning. After 1 year of trying to battle this whole thing. But what about for you? What's the hardest thing?
For me, being a coach, the hardest thing is for me is people is frustration with people being attached to mainstream ideas and not being open to a new way of doing things. Because I know how much change these people can see in their lives just by eating food they love every meal and taking out all the toxins. There really is no drawback to eating this way, in my opinion. Food tastes amazing, energy like never before, simple meals, easy to prepare. You haven't got a meal prep, you haven't got a calorie track. I just wish more people were open to it and less attached to the notion of variety that we've been sold for so long. But, you can't help everyone. I just need to find better ways to, poke the bear, probe, put the idea in people's minds. And that's what we're doing right here. We're not here to take anything from these people. It's very much like, this will change your life. This is what you've been missing, right? Social occasions, yeah, it's a shame that can stop people from adopting something like this, fear of judgment from others. That's really sad, because really there's nothing better than feeling amazing and fully energized and in a great mood every day. From fueling correctly, from not having the toxins, from not putting resources into detoxifying, just being able to be pure and alive and well and healthy. It's a shame that people value people's opinions over how they feel in their own life. And the worst part about it is the people that do judge them are probably people they shouldn't even hang around in the first place. It's going to come out of people's mouths who want to put them down. So there's that whole thing as well. That's pretty sad. I did get some starch cravings at the start, and that led me to conclude, wow, like I was literally addicted to starches, because how can you crave it any other way, right? It has no nutritional value. It's not a food for humans. So I was like, wow, like fucking addicted to carbs, right? And then I was able to learn and draw the parallels between, right, regardless of where this carb originally came from, it all turns into glucose within the body. It gives us that sugar hit, even if it's not sweet. And people are just so used to that and so addicted to that. And I felt that for like first couple of weeks. It wasn't painful. It was just like, wow, that's insightful. The fact that I'm craving something that has no nutrition. Addiction, right? Cocaine. It has no nutritional value. There's no space for it in the human diet, but people crave it. It's addiction. So that was eye-opening about carbs. But like I've said throughout this podcast, there's no drawbacks to me about it. And I'd say to anyone watching this that's on the fence, just give it a go for 1 month. That's all. Let's give it a go for 30 days. You're already struggling anyway. It's not like it's going to get worse than where you're at right now. If your energy's low, you don't have the body you want, you've got nothing to lose. Worst case, you go back to what you're doing, which isn't working anyway.
That's very well said. I like your advice. Pretty much. It's a good margin, like for someone who's starting or curious about the whole diet and then evolving to a lifestyle later on. Alex, if you had to describe the impact of carnivore in your life, what one word would you describe it, and tell me why?
I'll give one word for me and I'll give one word for my clients, as in how they feel. For my clients, the word I'd say is relief. And I use the word relief because for them, upon sign up and adopting the appropriate human diet, they finally feel in control of their habits and they feel like they're making progress and they're not failing anymore. Like they've drawn a line in the sand and that's it, and they get it and they understand it. And once it clicks, it clicks. You can't unsee it, you can't go back. So they feel very relieved that they don't have to go through these dieting cycles anymore of restricting calories, but also energy output, libido, and feel like they have to compromise every time they want to lose fat, wrestling between looking good and feeling good. So my clients relieved. Me, one word. It's a really good question. I want to get this right. I'm going to use love. I feel that emotion now more than ever. I feel like part of the reason why is with the diet, with the natural diet, I'm functioning like a human should. You know, the negative emotions I describe around anxiety, fear, confusion, anger. For me, that really has gone eating this way, despite trying to grow a business relentlessly every day. And I've got a lot more space for companionship, friendship, love. I feel like I've got more time for people that I care about. I want to listen to people more. I love the whole community around it. Having conversations with people like yourself, like it's so calming. I feel a lot of warmth off you. You're giving me a lot of space. And in general as well, I don't know if you're aware of levels of consciousness. It's all about vibrations and energy that you give off to people. I definitely feel like from this alone, I'm vibrating at a higher level. And the very top of that is enlightenment is the very top. And then love is the one beneath it. And then obviously at the bottom, you've got like pride, apathy, guilt as you go down. So that's the emotion I'm feeling now more than ever. And it's pretty awesome.
Wow. Yeah, I like how you describe it. One for your client, and also one for yourself. I think you have a very good description because it seems like a lot of your clients have gone through, so much health struggle, and then finding relief is probably the best way to put it. And what you're saying about the carnivore community, like you're feeling so much love, I think that's also one aspect I like about the carnivore space is because everyone is just like, no one is the same. We're not perfect, and we pretty much have our own differences. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Alex, as the carnivore community continue to grow, how do you see it evolving over the next 5 to 10 years? Do you think the direction is going to be largely positive or negative, maybe both, or negative could be the meat prices are going high, right? Maybe media bias and censorship, and then at the same time, more people wanting to learn about it because, like you've spoken to so many people and you've helped many people also. So, what are your thoughts?
We're in a strange time right now. People are becoming more aware than ever of the bullshit perpetuated by the media and the propaganda and the ulterior motives. There's some very, very prominent figures in not just the carnivore space, but the health space. And it feels like people are waking up. So for me, we're yet to see how the media and the mainstream are going to respond to this. They're trying their best with the documentaries, with censorship, demonetizing prominent figures in the health space. They're trying their best. I believe that in the end, what's right always wins. So I can only hope that in the next 5 years, this becomes more prominent, more mainstream. Meat prices come down, it becomes more affordable. At the same time, I'm not going to bank on that. And I'm actually working on a plan to detach and unplug from society really as much as possible, because I just find the whole thing depressing. Maybe get a farm somewhere and, live with my tribe and, have a big family and eat well. And sometimes, sort of visit society and people that have been in my life for very long, but I'm not going to bring everyone with me, only if they want to come. So we can only try our best, and we can only hope that in the end, the truth does prevail. And what we're doing here, you starting your podcast, you growing it, doing it consistently, me posting consistently, we can only try our best. At the end of the day, we don't control the algorithm. We just have to try and have a positive impact on everyone we speak to and everyone we meet. And my metric for happiness and success is, so long as I leave the world in a better place than when I first came into it, I'm happy. And I think that's a good thing to go off. We can't try so hard to control everything in the direction. We can just try and influence positively everyone we come across. It's up to them ultimately. My fear as well is the longer people perpetuate into the mainstream advice, the deeper they go and the harder it is to get out. But on the other hand, social media is booming. There's a lot of health people online like us that are posting about this. And I do feel like the health space is growing and people are becoming more aware. Like I said, we'll see how the mainstream responds. I don't know. Don't want to think about it. Just keep doing this, just keep having fun conversations and enjoy my life and, try and spread love and positively influence everyone I meet.
Wow, that's awesome. I really like your outlook. It's very positive in itself. I like when you said that we can't really control everything or even try to control everything. I feel like that's going to be a miserable state if we do something like that, whether individual or collective. Yeah, I think that's a really great outlook. Alex, if people want to reach out or connect, where's the best place to reach you?
Instagram at AlexFosh1, my name on here, number 1, and then YouTube, Alex Fosh.
Awesome. I'm going to make sure to post them in the description so people can reach you. Alex, thank you so much again for joining me. I really enjoyed hearing your story, your perspective, and learning about your carnivore journey. I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you.
Thank you for having me on, Joseph. Pleasure meeting you.